learning through each other. We also get benefited at the mission level by these exercises. Panels who come on board during each sessions are specially picked to see that they become relevant to the environment that we are in, and they provide a lot of directions, framework, their experience and their understanding of how cities have been performing, the areas that needs to be plugged in, what interventions that cities have to do at their level, or what intentions are required at the national level, any law or binding forces that are required to be understood and in knowledge that also comes handy during these interactions. So I encourage all the city team to participate in numbers, and all the relevant people should continue to actively
So,
put questions, keep chatting. And offline also we have opened a channel. The channel is techclinic.moa at gmail.com. So this is a new email ID. You can post the questions on these things on an ongoing basis. You don't have to wait for other sessions to come in. These questions can keep coming in throughout the month. And I would post this email ID and all to all of you in a separate communication. But idea is that stay tuned to this clinic, and this is not the effort only from the smart city mission side. It is the initiative of a smart city as a fraternity and as an ecosystem. And let's make best use of our understanding. I'll stop here, and we will wait for other participants to join in, and we'll start the session at 3 o'clock. Thank you so very much. Naveen, please keep looking for Mr. Rahul Kapoor. He would be he has joined now, just now. Uh, Sir, we'll start in a minute. Just 1 minute left, and 55 people have already registered and attended the session now.
okay.
Fine.
Wait for this number to touch 100. I think then we can start. I see 91 have joined.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon, Ramaji. How are you? I've been fine here. Yeah.
I'm sorry, my video was off for some time. I didn't realize. I'm having a little, issue with my internet connectivity. So my phone is also active now. So in between, I might have to, keep my video off. Maybe I may have to do it through my phone itself. So, bear with me for that. But we are 91 now. So hopefully in 30 seconds, we should start.
It's 97. I'm seeing 98 now.
Okay.
I think 99. Yeah, we have reached 100. So now you can start.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I welcome all the attendees and speakers and the city team, including commissioners, CEOs, MDs, senior officials, enthusiasts, and other people. Welcome all of you to this episode 4 of a Tech Clinic, which is focused on how do we address the cybersecurity in our cities. We have panelists from diverse background, and I have Mr. Rahul Kapoor also with us today. I would request Mr. Rahul Kapoor, Director Smart City, to open the session for all of us. Mr. Rahul Kapoor.
Thank you so much, Padam, for inviting me. And first of all, a very warm welcome to all our panelists and also the participants for attending this fourth Tech Clinic session, fourth webinar in the series that we have been conducting for the ministry. We have been trying to talk on a lot of important issues and a wide variety of topics ranging from integrated command and control centers to IoT, artificial intelligence, data science, etc. have been covered in this webinar series, and more such interesting topics will be taken up in our other webinars that have been lined up. In today's webinar, we will be talking about data security, which is a very important issue that our cities are facing. And yes, with the Smart Cities mission, the whole dialogue on technology started, and suddenly we started having a lot of technology interventions in government working, and a lot of devices, IoT devices, computer systems, networks, etc., got implemented in the mission. However, cybersecurity is a very important issue. Data security and privacy are very important to all of us. And of course, these are sometimes red flags with regard to adoption of technology and sharing of data. So how do we make our systems more secure? What kind of systems do we devise that security becomes an inherent feature in that? For that, we have a very nice panel today. We have Ms. Rama Vedashri, who's the CEO of Data Security Council of India. And we have Mr. Manish Bhatt, who's the Director IT of Vadodara Smart City. Unfortunately, the CEO of Vadodara could not attend today due to an unfortunate incident wherein a councillor has succumbed to COVID-19. And as a result, the whole operation has been down. So, and he's engaged in the other exigencies. So we have Mr. S.K. Patel. I would first invite Rama Vedashri to session. I think somebody's mic is on. So for the attendees, I'm sure you would have a lot of questions that you would like to put up to our panelists. So if you look at the control panel at the bottom of the screen, the 6 button, you can see 3 dots. When you click on that, you will get an option to click on Q&A. When you click on Q&A, that is the place where you post your questions and our panelists will take it up and definitely reply to you. And in case you want to discuss anything on the chat window is also available. In between, if there is any poll that the team would like to conduct, that option will pop up while the panel discussions are going on. So without much ado, I would now request our first panelist, Dr. Rama Vedashri. Please take up the. Thank you.
Hi.
Would you like to start?
Yes, if I may be permitted to speak for a minute. I would request Rahul Agrawal, who is the session moderator today, to initiate the session today and take us through the technology challenges that we have in the cities, and then he start the dialogue within the panel as well as with the attendees.
Yeah.
Rahul.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rahul, and thank you, Padam, for organizing this. And first of all, thanks for this privilege which is given to us. So as part of session 4, which is on cybersecurity, which we are doing for Tech Clinic, it's my privilege to welcome Rama ma'am and Mr. Manish Bhatt sir to share their experience in terms of cybersecurity. I understand all of us are here to share our knowledge with respect to our experience and also to replicate some of the best practices which we are doing on ground. Now, before I go into any of those details, I want to set the next 1 hour how we want to do it. From a overall format perspective, we want this to be more with respect to the interactive session. There will be more or less question answers is what we want to take. And I will set the context in terms of what are the risks which we have seen in last couple of years with respect to some of the smart cities. And then I will ask Rama to share the frameworks which are available and the guidelines which are available to all of us with respect to cybersecurity, which we need to adopt. And then I will request Mr. Bhatt to share the on-ground experience which they have seen when they did the Vadodara smart cities. They have gone through it. There are some 8 various tracks which they have made live, so they will share their experience. Now, before we, Padam, if you can just put those slides together, if you can do that. Sorry, I joined that from iPad.
I think there's an internet issue at my end. You have to wait for 2-3 minutes. Naveen has sent those slides, and he will be putting it up together. But you can probably start engaging with the cities, with panels, and while this gets projected on the screen, maybe you can suggest some areas that she wants to talk to the attendees during this session. Maybe about 2 minutes before we put up the presentation.
Yeah.
No worries. I can start. So from a context setting perspective, if I take 4-5 minutes and then we'll go into Rama and Mr. Bhatt. So if we have seen smart cities, I think those 100 smart city missions we started, and if we look at it, somewhere about 45 cities is what we got it implemented, 45 plus cities, and I understand 15 plus smart cities are going to be up this year. If you look at all this and the best part we have done it. There are somewhere about 15 plus, 20 plus smart cities. We have actually converted into a COVID war room because the infrastructure, the processes, the coordination we have built in these smart cities. Although we are talking about some various 8 to 9 various services from a CCTV surveillance perspective, smart metering perspective, we have seen number of such services which are up and live. Now, from a cybersecurity perspective, although everyone knows that smart cities, when we have to do it, we are bringing multiple agencies together. We are bringing technology together from an e-governance perspective. We are bringing a lot of IoTs together, and this is useful to deliver services in more efficient manner. We can better control these services and get a value add back to the citizen. So it is improving the lives. But now, if from a cyber, if you look at it, we have seen that the infrastructure can be misused by the attackers. And earlier, the attackers are more from a hacker perspective coming in, they were disrupting the services. But since it is a core infrastructure, this can be used by target states, by various countries to create some disruption in the city services. So some of the examples, if I have to pick it up, is more in terms of now we are talking about public addressal system, which can be misused. We are talking about the ICCC, which is up and running, where we try to manage the entire ecosystem. Someone can actually get a control of it. We can have ransomware attacks coming in. From our experience perspective, if we see, there are broad 4 or 5 things which we need to talk about. Now, these are command and control systems, because we have a public Wi-Fi as one of the core service as part of our smart cities. And if we take that, we are talking about someone sitting at one of the bus stop, because there's a Wi-Fi which is available. Someone can use that network to actually do any mysterious activity, or can bring the entire command and control center down. We have seen some of these examples in India happening. We have seen CCTVs, cameras, which we are using to improve the safety in the city now, which is very great as in service. But if we look at some of these cameras can be misused to plan any attack, because earlier you have to do recce, you have to be physically present. Now, from an attacker perspective, from a terrorist perspective, they can use these live feeds, which sometimes which are available over internet, actually create disruption, panic in the entire city. We have seen some of the services earlier. It was easy because we have a manual process which was running in parallel, then the online processes. But during the COVID, we have seen that we need to heavily rely on the automated services, online services. And if these services are not available, that's a disruption because of the availability of the services, and that creates a lot of chaos in the entire city. We have seen healthcare systems, HMS, which is there, we have implemented in our smart cities. If we see this, and some of these recent attacks in last 2-3 years, we have seen that you can encrypt the data. If the data is encrypted, you can't do much about it. And giving a service is very, very difficult.
Rahul, a small interruption to you. The slides have come up now. So you may to tell Naveen which slide he has to move on, because you have covered already some part of it.
Yeah.
Just to maintain the consistency, please instruct him accordingly.
Yeah, Naveen, if you can go to 4th slide, go down. Yeah. So, cybersecurity risk specific to Indian smart cities, you can go down. Parallelly, yeah, thank you. So these were 5 key areas of the risk which I thought we need to highlight from an audience perspective, so that we understand what can happen if we don't plan the smart cyber security around the smart cities. So we have I've already covered the first 3, but from a smart city perspective, we have seen the ransomware attack which can happen, and if that can happen, the data is not available. I want to bring in specific example over here. One of the public utility companies, their billing data was compromised because of one of the ransomware attack, and then They spend months and months to reconcile their system to see what collections they need to do, because this is the financial data. One is the financial data, and then the interruption of the services which can happen. And that was the fourth. These are some of the examples which are not in the lab or are just in a research, but these are actual on-site examples which we have captured based on our experience and on the panel experience. And then hosting application, which we have seen, people can misuse it. We have a lot of PHI data, PI data, which is there. So Naveen, if you can go to the next slide. Yeah. Yeah. So Naveen is Naveen is coming up, but I think I'll cover that from the interest of time perspective, and we get the best usage of time. So if we look at those 8 core services which we have, first one, we are talking about the city surveillance. From a city surveillance perspective, we are talking about that how this can be misused, because all of them is online, and people can misuse this to plan any of these. Parallelly, I've seen that Naveen and Padam has also started the polling. So just to keep everyone posted, what we are going to do is, there are 5-6 areas which we thought we'll do a polling, figure it out how you see the cyber security from the smart cities, and we can share our experience. And as a panel member, then we can pick up those points and share some of the learnings which are coming in from this polling. So Mahua will run that particular piece in the parallel, and you have an option of picking it up. So I thought I'll just cover that up. Now, the last one is on the Naveen, if you can go to next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. So it's not reflected, but okay. So no worries. Yeah. So these were 8 of the services which we have. No, that's fine. Hold on, Naveen. That's fine. So 8 of the services which we have spoken about, which was on city surveillance, we're talking about smart poles, we're talking about smart metering management, we're talking about smart waste management. But as the services are given to the citizen for the better services, better governance, ease of life, standard of living, but each of these services has a cyber risk which is involved. For example, the public distribution system can be used to create a panic in the city. We have seen smart waste management, and if, let's say, if someone else take a control of the smart waste management, it can release untreated sewage to the water system. Denial of service waste can happen. So take any of the service, and it is not IT disruption we are talking about. We are talking about disruption to the core services from a telemedicine perspective, from a intelligent traffic management system. And one of the examples which I want to pick it up. So someone has actually gained access of the traffic management system in one of the Western cities, and then it created a lot of chaos on the ground. Thankfully, there was no major disruption to the life. That's how things have changed from a cyber perspective, from a smart city perspective. Now, why this is happening, and these are some of the 6 points which are there in front of your screen, is more in terms of the RCA which we performed. One is from a cybersecurity capacity and capability perspective. When we look at these smart cities, we are bringing multiple stakeholders, multiple agencies together. And when we are bringing multiple agencies together, cyber is the evolving stuff. We have limited number of people, and the technology which is using is also evolving. So the capacity and capability across PMC, across the SI, and some of the smart cities is limited. So that's one of the reason we believe we have seen some of the problems. The another one is the emerging technology and the threats which are coming in. So from a camera perspective, from a sensor perspective, whatever we're using, they are evolving based on our requirements. They are evolving from a functionality perspective. Sometimes some of the security because of the life cycle may be missed or may not be configured. So technology is moving very fast, which is there. Collaboration among stakeholders. Within the cities, we have stakeholders coming in, and there are at least 7 to 10 different agencies which come together to deliver a service back to the citizen. So when this is happening, obviously there has to be a collaboration coming in, and that's one of the reasons we have seen which is there. And overall, the visibility which is there to the stakeholders, to the stakeholders and to the management is not there. The regular monitoring that if smart cities are getting attacked, what is the corrective action we need to do? That might be one of the piece which is missing in, and the assessments and the regular update which is happening on ground, that piece is not coming back to the stakeholders so that we do the corrective action. Budget allocation, obviously the priority is to deliver more services. Some of the engagements or the initiative we have seen that although there is a budget which is allocated, but the percentage of that budget with respect to overall IT landscape sometimes is very limited. And then I'll go back to Manish sir and Rama to share their experience in terms of what were the challenges which we have seen on ground. Yeah, if you go to the next slide. And the next one, we have seen that, yes, we have number of challenges. We have seen what is the risk exposure. There are some of the drivers which are available to us, which is done by MoHUA, which is done by various agencies. One, we are talking about, there are cybersecurity guidelines. There's a national cybersecurity policy which came up in 2013. NCIPC, which talks about the critical infrastructure protection. They came up with a lot of regulations and the guidelines around it. And then if we are storing the Aadhaar because of certain services, then the Aadhaar Act, IT Act, and the amendment we need to take care of. So these are some of them, and I will request Rama to actually drill it down, see what is the framework which the city need to adopt if they need to have built trust in the overall smart cities. So I thought I'll just set the context, and then I will go to Rama in terms of sharing the experience that if city has to plan end to end, what will be the life cycle they need to adopt. So Rama, if you can just share your experience.
Yeah. So thank you, Rahul, while Naveen gives me the screen sharing rights. So thank you, Rahul, and good afternoon to Mr. Rahul and Mr. Padam Vijay and also Manish ji. And I would also a warm welcome and a good afternoon to, I see, more than 220 participants who have logged into this tech clinic. Thank you for joining us, and gives us, it reassures all of us in the panel that you do consider cybersecurity and data protection and privacy extremely important for it's extremely important for a smart city. Both Mr. Rahul and both the Rahuls, naam to suna hoga, all of us know. So both Rahul sir from MOHUA and Rahul Agarwal, my colleague from PwC, my industry, my friend from PwC, talked about what are the risk profiles, right? I mean, essentially, when you talk about a smart city, we are talking about infusion of digital technologies to provide smart services, which are basically anytime, anywhere services. And there are also anytime, anywhere city administration services, which are being provisioned in the backend for the city administrators, for the staff of the utilities on one side. And on the other side is the citizens who are consuming these services on mobile platforms, the backends that are being provisioned on the internet platforms and the other digital platforms like cloud. So it's a lot of infusion of digital technologies, whether it is the IoT devices and the smart sensors that are getting deployed, or it's the mobile applications that are getting deployed. There's a lot of, whenever you're talking about a smart city or when you talk about your ICCC or integrated command and control center, it's actually a lot of integration. You are doing a lot of integration of a variety of utilities, e-governance services. Some of them are very legacy applications and legacy platforms. And then you're deploying a lot of contemporary technology solutions and stack, because of which the risk landscape completely, grows manifold compared to what it was when you had a local city administration working out of your, inside the firewall, maybe inside your particular office in the city, this thing. What is important is that when we talk about cybersecurity in a smart city, that you have a very comprehensive and a holistic approach. And most importantly, that you give focus on planning the resilience. But however resilient your infrastructure is, your capacity planning is, all of that, there would still be risks and there would still be cyber attacks. It's a fact of life. So you need to be prepared on how will you respond to mitigate the risks and how will you respond when actually an attack happens. So what is the way you provision threat intelligence and analysis? And most importantly, in a smart city, when you're integrating so many applications, so many domains into a smart city, there's a lot of data that you're dealing with. It's a lot of business data, personal data, sensitive data, healthcare data, right? City and location data. So how do you make sure that you incorporate the security by design and privacy by design principles? And when you look at this, there was a white paper that PwC and DSCI, Rahul's team and my team actually developed. It's extremely important to remember that at the bedrock of the planning and the smart city cybersecurity framework, there is an assurance framework. And on the top, there is an institutional governance framework. How do you govern? What are the institutions? What are the roles you create responsible for that? Then comes the entire technology stack, solutions, processes that you define and make some team members accountable for all of this. And what is important is, traditionally, when we look at security, there might have been some focus on security on the server side or security at an endpoint antivirus. But in a smart city, the way it gets integrated using smart technologies, it is extremely important we understand at each layer of a smart city, sensors, which is all the IoT devices. He talked about, cameras, surveillance cameras, maybe for traffic management, for so many other sensors that get deployed, even for your solid waste management, water management, right? So sensor layer, communication layer, data layer, and application layer. Unless we have this while we are planning our infrastructure, deploying our infrastructure, we incorporate those security by design principles. We cannot say that I'm doing all of this in terms of smart infrastructure, and then we can have one solution that fits all to be able to make your smart city infrastructure secure. So the main takeaway that I want from my session is that the city planners, when they're looking at infusing technology and when they're talking to their technology system integrators or master system integrators and providers, they look at each of these layers, what is getting deployed, what is getting integrated, because some of these layers may be running some legacy applications. What are the risks and what is the solution? So whenever you're looking at something new at a data layer or a communication layer, it's important to understand the risks. And when you start doing the technology planning for that, you also look at what is the security and the data protection solutions that you need to deploy. MOHUA and Government of India has a smart city framework. That's an overall city level framework which you're supposed to conform to and comply. But I think it's important that you need to look at a deep dive of what that framework is, what are the recommendations of that framework, which need to translate into what is the solutions you are deploying when you have decided that you will do smart city and you're going to infuse these kind of technologies. So I'm not getting into each of them. The slides will be there with Padam Vijay and team. But what is more important is to understand at each of these layers, because there is this misconception sometimes is that I'm doing a smart city and then I will do cybersecurity or I will do data protection and I'll buy these, one or two of these solutions and I will be secure. It's important we understand at each of these layers what are the risks, because sometimes the risks and the attacks might happen because of a badly written mobile application on a mobile phone, or it could be because some security has not been taken care of at the cloud or at the data center. It can happen anywhere. It can happen in your communication networks, whether it is at an ISP level. A lot of smart cities use statewide area networks, right? It can happen any, and based on which we need to look at what are the technologies and solutions that we need. So this detail of the breakdown of your technology stack and the security risks and how do I go about securing, what to ask when I'm talking to a technology partner for a smart city is, I think this framework and this deep dive that we have done gives that clarity. A lot of smart city CEOs, when my team and I have engaged over the last 2 years, or Rahul's team might have engaged, they ask us, where do we start? Because there is this mega cities like a Mumbai and a Delhi, and then there is let us say, a smaller city which is also now becoming smart and doing all the digital technologies adoption, integrating various applications. Where do we start? So it's extremely, because we cannot do this big bang security implementation in all the 100 cities. So I think based on the size of the city, the digital risk profile of that city, we need to look at it. We have done some color coding, for example, the green and the yellow. What is the basic security baselining and the technology solutions that you have to deploy at each of these layers? And as you become more mature in your security implementation, as you infuse more new solutions, maybe for water management, maybe for integrated grids, power management, smart metering, there are different security solutions that you will need. So what we are trying to look at is, what is the minimum security stack that you need to be able to implement the guidelines that Ministry of MOHUA has implemented, has recommended, so that you conform to that. And each of this will have to be planned for as we move forward. And if you look at the, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, there's some poll thing. Another thing we looked at is, a lot of the states have something called as a smart city, security policy or cyber security policy at a state level. It's also important to think of a policy at a city level. I'll probably come back to this during the closing on what could be elements of a cybersecurity policy for a city, both in terms of what should be the focus, what risks need to be mitigated, plus what is the capacity building that needs to be done. And please understand, capacity building needs to be done among all the agencies at the smart city, the CEO and his team, but also some level of awareness at the citizen level that needs to be done. And what is the institutional infrastructure that you need? So as the questions come, I can elaborate a lot more on this.
Ma'am, if I
Thank
may
you.
interject. So thank you so much, ma'am. This floor is now open for question and answer. Before that, I would like to highlight 2 points. Point number 1 is that Rama ma'am talked about cybersecurity framework, which is currently applicable in smart cities. So you all may be aware that in 2016 May, we, as Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, released a cybersecurity framework document. It is available on Smart Cities website, smartcities.gov.in. You may like to go to the OM section and see for those advisory. I also encourage the cities to see these advisory along with other advisory which are already lying there. It would be prudent that you have a repository of those advisory with you. They can come handy and when you build up or expand your networks. That's the point number 1. Point number 2 is, we are very encouraged by the response from the attendees and members. But everybody is looking at cybersecurity as being one of the very important part of their IT infrastructure. It is very, very important that the process is taken up in a very, very holistic way in the cities, and you start building up the secure layer in IT infrastructure. Now we have Dr. Garima Mittal, CEO of Faridabad Smart City, with us today, and I would request host to upgrade the attendee into the panel. If she's already there on the panel, then I would request Dr. Garima Mittal to ask question to the panel to what she has been facing in smart cities in Faridabad and what has been her area of concerns. Is Dr. Garima Mittal on the panel?
Ma'am is there. Welcome, ma'am, to the.
Yes, Rahul, please take over now.
Yeah. So, ma'am, welcome to this, and thanks for joining in. And ma'am, we lost you in between from an audio perspective. Yeah, so audio was not very clear. Can you hear us, ma'am? Yeah. So, ma'am, I think it's better now. So, ma'am, first of all, thank you for joining in. It's a privilege to welcome you. So, ma'am, I think there are two areas where we want to take your inputs. One is that what are the challenges you are facing on ground from a cyber security perspective when you have implemented for Faridabad, and maybe what was your experience? Maybe you want to share that with everyone, and if you have any questions which the panel can take.
You may keep your video off. If you keep your video off, I think we'll be able to hear it properly. Are you able to hear us, ma'am, now?
Not yet. Ma'am, you are also on mute. So Padam, I think ma'am is joining.
May I request Garima ma'am that we come back to her after we discuss with Vadodara Smart Cities, Mr. Manish Bhatt, who is already on the panel now. If Rahul, if you can, with them.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to Garima ma'am separately, see that what is the difficulty she's facing.
Yeah, I think there is some connection issue I think ma'am is facing. So, sir, if I come back to you specifically because you did the Vadodara Smart City, and I understand there are some 7 to 8 various initiatives in the track we have already made live, from ERP to ICCC to public Wi-Fi, health management system. They're all done. So you want to share your experience that how you are ensuring cyber security across all these various initiatives you have done in Vadodara.
Yeah. Good afternoon all. And as rightly said by Rahul as well as ma'am, that all smart city have IoT device. Like Vadodara Smart City has installed IoT devices such as CCTV cameras, Wi-Fi access point, smart billboards, smart signals across the city, and the network of city command and control center. And they are using sensor technology as well as all these IoT devices on the city access opportunity for malicious attack, as it is very important to identify the potential risk in the time with a robust security solution. So we are facing some challenges. That is, each of IT projects having essential IT security framework layer, but it is independent layer. And overall citywide IT network is at command and control center. So that is very much needed. The increasing integration, interconnectivities, data exchange network framework to create unknown vulnerabilities where a problem in our service area can quickly cascade into other area, potentially leading to widespread. Now we are doing most of projects we are already completed or on the completion stage. So our Vadodara Municipal Corporation application and server layer is there at different places. Command and control center needs sub projects. Then ITMS, ERP. So ERP is in the final stage. There is a huge data generated. HMA is health management information system on cloud. Water SCADA, the drainage SCADA is there. Supervisory control and data acquisition. So huge number of water and drainage SCADA, water and drainage data is there. GIS, geographical information system, that is on the data center of smart city. Public Wi-Fi and poles, My Vadodara mobile app, and other upcoming IT projects are there. So there is a need of strengthening the IT security. Basically, it is divided on 4 categories. is the digital-centric flagship projects. So smart cities are digital-centric and composed of electronics device, sensor-based technologies, ability to interact, active data exchange. Number 2 category is the smart device, means edge device. So maybe remotely accessible, making more susceptible to hacks. Then customer data. There are many sensitive customer data. So that is other financial data, making more susceptible to attack under cyber threats. Extensive network with multiple access points. There are VPN, email, web, and network services are there. Then massive scale of these all projects and coverage of all this. So basically, based on our analysis and the ground assessment, smart services are e-governance. So in e-governance, there are vulnerabilities, lack of user access and authorization controls, unencrypted storage and transmission of citizen data, outdated version prone to engaging attacks, including ransomware, as rightly said. So potential risk of citizen personal data is there, including financial and health data is there. E-governance service can be shut down and denying of services. Second is most important, the city surveillance. So default password is there. Then camera accessible on weak access controls. So there is a video surveillance can be given to information of weak surveillance zone, be used for malicious anti-social purposes. Then smartphone, city Wi-Fi is there. In the smartphone, there is another risk of the data of Wi-Fi user. Then the intelligent traffic management system, so closing and spoofing, and the denial of service attacks. Then smart water management, cloning and spoofing, and the denial of service attack, and enterprise GIS system. So basically, these are the probable points, and that's why we have released, with the help of PwC, we have released the RFP for cybersecurity in last week. So PwC has designed the cybersecurity framework based on the MOHUS guideline and the frameworks. So it covers multiple aspects. So that is security governance, implementation, operation and security products, service and security assurance. So basically, VSCDL Smart City has decided to build a cyber security operations center to monitor, access, and defend Vadodara Smart City information system in order to protect confidentiality, integrity, and availability of VSCL data and public services. So purpose of the Cyber Security Operations Center is to be equipped with set of advanced IT security tools, such as security information and event management, SIEM solution, then incident management tool, anti-advanced persistent threat APT, anti-DDoS solution, and next generation firewalls. So that's why almost we are on the completion of IT projects. That's why we provided RFP for complete cybersecurity solution. I think
Sure.
those are right. If Safe City project program is a part of Smart City project, I think Safe City and Smart City is not a separate thing. A Smart City and Safe City is one thing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It was useful. So we need to interchange it from a smart city to safe city. And if I can go back to ma'am, Garima ma'am, if ma'am, can you unmute it? Yeah. So ma'am, if you want to share your experience with respect to
Ma'am has a
cybersecurity
question to
when you
ask.
did it.
Ma'am has a question to ask. If you can straight away come to the questions with the request to ma'am, that would be great. We are also
So, yeah, ma'am.
running on time, although that's a good thing to have, but we should continue to maintain our discipline on the time. So ma'am,
Sure,
Garima ma'am, thank you so much for coming on a call. Can you ask the question to the panel, please?
Ma'am is not. Ma'am, connection is bad. So we have like 10 to 15 questions. Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Go ahead. Ma'am, we are not able to hear.
I have a very question. Yeah. Sure.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah, clear now. Please ask your
yeah.
question.
Ma'am, not audible.
I would request for the
Yeah, so
city
yes.
ma'am to pose the question on the Q&A section. And Rahul, if you could just
Ma'am,
keep looking for this and take that question at the right time.
yeah. So we have number of, yeah, ma'am, go ahead. Sorry. Not able to hear you, ma'am. So maybe if you can just put it down on the chat, I think we can pick it up from there because the network is connectivity is really bad. So if yeah, so if I can just pick up some of the questions which are, if I just pick up some of the questions which are there already on a chat. The first question which is there is what effect do open source application? What effect do open source? Yeah, sorry, ma'am. Ma'am, not audible. Okay, so let me pick it up from the from the questions which are there in the chat window because we have number of questions. The first one, Rama, if you can just take it up. The first one we are talking about, what effect do open source application architecture have on security aspects of smart cities? Rama, you want to pick it up?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I will. So what effect do open source application architecture have on security aspects of smart cities? If smart cities want to use open source architecture or an application, what is the impact on the security part of it?
Yeah. So when you choose to deploy something from the open source, I think the customer, which is the smart city, needs to take more responsibility in testing that app out and making sure the app does not have vulnerabilities. And tomorrow, if there are vulnerability discovers, do you have the in-house team to be able to, plug those vulnerabilities? So there are a lot of open source solutions which you should surely evaluate. But I think you need to also have a team internally to be able to test those applications before you integrate them with your live systems. So there are a lot of rich solutions in the open source, provided you have an internal team who can evaluate them and test them before you integrate. I think you're good to go.
Sounds good. So if the summary is that we have to follow the same approach the way we follow it for any of those products, that end to end, we need to design security and then implement it. Thanks, Rama. Rama, I think I will come back to you for another question which is there. One of the question which I saw was the overall IT expertise are limited. The question says currently no city has adequate IT expert staff. Without expert, is it good to go with all cyber security components? So how to manage, because the capacity and capability is a challenge. Maybe if you could share your experience.
So I understand that, particularly when you talk about 100 smart cities spread across the length and breadth of the country. Overall IT expertise and resource and manpower, there's a big shortfall. And when it comes to security, it is even more specialized. So there's a lot of capacity building programs that both government and industry is investing in. So I think having in-house teams would be a challenge. I think it's important to find the local small and medium security solution providers, service providers, and encourage them to support each of the smart cities. So how do you develop and nurture the ecosystem around the city to be able to support, along with the bigger industry members who are anyway there to do the rollouts and implementation? So I think it's a mix of partnering with a mix of the large players and the smaller and medium. But I do understand there is a constraint when it comes to cybersecurity capacity, skill sets in a lot of our tier 2 and tier 3 towns.
Thank you, Rama. And I will like to also add, because this again I'm picking up from some of the smart cities. Within smart cities, they can also do that collaboration. They can also share their experience and form a core team. Let's say in a state there are 5 or 7 smart cities which are coming up, but a core team can be formed which can be a common across all those 6 or 7 smart cities. That's another piece, but other points, Rama, you have already captured that. If I go to the next.
In the meanwhile, we have received a question from Faridabad, the Smart City CEO, ma'am.
Okay.
Take that question, and then if Rama can respond to it, or
please.
you, Rama. This question is regarding COVID. We have been seeing COVID all around us. In the COVID scenario, when we are doing sessions like what we are doing right now, which is webinar, web meeting, video conferencing, even the BODs are board of director meetings are happening on a video conferencing. Now, we would like to know, and obviously there's a location surveillance which is also happening, which you have to see it on a remote. Now, obviously these bring in a lot of security threats. In this case, the question she has is that there has also been an issue related to Zoom booming, that we have all seen that kind of security threats and the lapses of security which has come along with Zoom calls over the last 2 months. I want to know that what kind of upgrade that we have to do to ensure that that these systems work in the way that are not putting things as security under stake or under peril. And you would like to take this question?
Who, me? You want me to take the question?
Yeah, Rama, if you can take it.
Sure. Yeah, I do understand that there's a lot of collaboration tools that are being used for virtual meetings or attending webinars. First of all, we have released some advisories in terms of work from home best practices. It's there on the dsci.in website. And we have issued work from home best practices, both from a employee perspective and overall IT admin. While they're meant for all the large companies, even a city can look at that. Another thing is, I don't want to single out any one tool. I think every tool comes with adequate security feature sets. It is important that when you are hosting a meeting, the people who are planning for a meeting or a public webinar like this follow the due diligence to be able to utilize the feature set of the applications, because all of them have, it's probably, we are not taking the right steps in terms of securing a meeting or a call or a Zoom meeting or MS Teams or Cisco WebEx. So I will not single out about one tool not being secure enough. Every tool comes with the feature sets. It's important we understand those feature set, and I think the meeting host or the core team, which is setting up a virtual meeting or even a webinar, need to make sure that they utilize the security feature set that tool provides.
Thanks, Rama. I think there is a follow-up question also, which says, do COTS product have better security? And I will just take the same example which you picked up, that it is not about the open source or a COTS product. It is that we should understand what is the security features which are available and how we implement those security features back in our system. That is more important, because and this has to be done across all layers, from an application perspective, network perspective, and database perspective. So as you said, it has to be done end to end, and more or less all these solutions provide you the security features. Okay, so if we can go to some more questions which are there in the system. One of the question which I read, and please, I encourage everyone to post, drop your questions on this. We'll pick it up. The first question which was there: is there any other vendor for HSM and PKI except Thales? Also, price for HSM is a big concern. So that's one of the questions. Rama, you want to pick it up or?
No, I mean, I don't think
I
I'll be able to answer vendor specific.
Yeah, so I think we will have multiple vendors which are there, which are giving services. I will not give a comment on the pricing because it depends on what you want to buy. But yes, there are various OEMs which are available, which give services on public infrastructure and on the hardware security module. It is entirely on us how we want to define our requirements and how we want to actually put it back in our ecosystem. So that's how we need to plan it up, but there are various options available from a public key infrastructure and DHSM perspective. The next one is I need to pick it up, which is there. How can we build trust over technology in the context of issue raised on tracking, surveillance, policing, and surveillance opportunism? So these are the one which is that if we are doing from a COVID perspective, from a surveillance perspective, how can we build a trust in the overall technology? Because and some of these technologies are not doing surveillance coming in. So Rama or Mr. Bhatt, you want to take it up? More from a privacy perspective.
Manish? I can take that, Rahul.
Yeah, so that will be great.
So it's not just from a COVID perspective, but I think overall, any smart city collects, processes, shares a lot of data, including personal data, sensitive data. So I think every city, MOH, Ministry of Housing, Urban Affairs, should insist that the state and the cities particularly have a very robust data privacy framework, and the privacy principles are implemented and awareness. I don't think we need to wait for the personal data protection bill to be enacted by Parliament, because I think privacy principles should be incorporated, because it's extremely important that citizens have a trust in the digital or online service that the city is offering. If that trust is missing, they might utilize the service once, they might utilize the service second, and a common man will not go back to utilizing the service if they believe that, you know, the anybody, whether it's a city government, it's a vendor, you know, it could be any agency of government or even a private agency. If that trust is breached, they will never be coming back to those online services. So if you want to keep the momentum of offering and allowing citizens to consume anytime, anywhere services, the trust has to be maintained, for which a robust data protection, privacy policy implementation, and regular audits, privacy awareness among the staff and citizens is all inculcated.
Maybe
Thanks,
we will also take a note of it and discuss with the city separately on this suggestion.
Yeah. So there is another question which I think I can take it up, which says we are talking about monitoring and management of traffic lights from ICCC. How to ensure that such traffic lights should not be hacked? So this is one of the questions. Maybe I can pick it up. So if you look at when you're designing any of those systems, let's say traffic light perspective or any of those, I'll make it slightly a broad base. So you will have the IoT coming in, which can be a sensor, which can be a device, which can be application. So first piece, we need to see whatever device coming in, IoT coming in, application coming in, we need to see it will have some sort of a security layer or software layer. It can be a firmware, it can be underlying operating system, it can be on top of it, there's an application coming in. So first thing is when we bring these components into our ecosystem, we need to ensure that what Rama spoke about and what Mr. Bhatt spoke about from a CII perspective, confidentiality, integrity, availability perspective, are we looking at that particular firmware from end-to-end perspective? Once we look at that firmware from end-to-end perspective, we will go into the network layer, because the traffic signal, the sensor, or the camera is sending that data to the backend application to our data center. So how that network is secured, someone is able to sniff to that network, someone is able to actually modify the data from a network layer perspective, and this goes back to the MAUA guidelines which they have published in terms of the controls which we need to bring in across all the layers, which Rama also presented. And then on the data center side, So when the application and the data is there in the database is stored, then what are the various controls we need to have in? So this brings in from a technology layer perspective, and this brings in from a services perspective. I think that's how I will classify. Look, all these technologies will keep on evolving over a period of time, but if we have the right fundamental in place, if we have the security design in place, then this will be taken care of. So that's one of the questions which was there. I thought I'll address that.
Rahul, if I may interrupt in between, we are running now on at the end of the session. We should wrap it up within 5 minutes now. We do not plan to extend these sessions over one hour. So you may take 2-3 questions and then we conclude this session.
Sure.
Answering all those questions to the participants in due course of time within 1 week. And secondly, all the presentation will be made available to all the attendees.
Okay, thank you. So if anyone, Rama, you want to share something, Mr. Hurt, because I think I picked up most of the questions which was there on that. Or if there is any other question, okay, I see some of the questions which are coming in.
I think round 1 and 2 cities as to now it is time to decide the prepare the cybersecurity framework. So they have to prepare detailed project objectives like design, implement, manage, and monitor how to design and manage security monitoring on attacks, then the managed security configuration, then the risk assessment, vulnerability assessment, and the dashboard for reporting, and also prepares detailed scope of work like cybersecurity using HUS guideline, cybersecurity framework, policy, security governance, organization structures, IT asset management, and access control, security operational center, information security audits, and others. So after preparing this, I think that is the main theme of last project of the IT regarding the cybersecurity.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatt. So I think there is last question which we will take, and I'll request Rama to take it up because she was part of that committee. So data protection one. So we have a question, Rama, which says, do we have equivalent of GDPR of Europe region in our country? So that's one of the questions which was posted on the chat. And since you have vast experience, maybe you want to take it up.
Yes, we do have a personal data protection bill, which is tabled in Parliament, but has been referred to a joint parliamentary committee. And we have to wait because it was not, it was referred to the parliamentary committee in the budget session. So if the monsoon session will happen, if it happens, whether it will be taken up. But currently there was a Justice Sri Krishna committee which deliberated for more than a year with public consultations and prepared a draft bill. I was a member of that committee. Then there was a lot of public consultation. Some revisions have happened in the budget session. Honorable Union IT Minister, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, tabled it in Lok Sabha, but immediately it has been referred to a joint parliamentary committee, and the committee also has sought consultations. So we are expecting the next steps is that at some point the committee will complete its deliberations, make the recommendations to Lok Sabha or make the recommendations to Parliament. I think it's a question of time, given that privacy has been declared as a fundamental right. We need a legislative framework, and while it is taking some time, I think we can expect a Personal Data Protection Act sooner than later.
Thank you. So thank you, Rama, on that. That was useful. So now I think just to summarize, because I more from a time perspective. So what we have seen, there were a number of we are getting all those technologies, but I think from a takeaway perspective, if I need to put in the 5 which Rama presented and Sir presented, the first one we're talking about to have the cybersecurity governance structure in place. Once we have the governance structure in place, we need to have policies and the framework which need to come in. Training and the overall awareness across the stakeholders is very, very important if we need to drive it. And then based on that, you come up with the technology controls, do the continuous monitoring, and do a regular assessment. So those are some of the key takeaways. If I need to put it together, it's there in the slide. We'll send it across. The Mahua guidelines, which are there, clearly defines the controls which need to come in across all these layers which are there in the smart city. And uh, I think I would like to thank the Mahua to organize this, Mr. Kapoor, for scheduling this up, and then I will request also thank Mr. Sir from Vadodara joining in, Mr. Manish Bhatt, and also Rama, CEO DSCI, for sharing their experience and taking up all these questions. I think this was interactive because we were able to take somewhere in about 10 to 12 questions. And if there are more questions, I suggest if they can share with Mr. Padam, and we can answer later on. Padam, you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Rahul. And I hope this interaction has kick-started the thought process of how to build the secured smart cities, I would call them, and cyber-secured smart cities. So this is one step probably we can start looking at that how to strengthen the current infrastructure that we have in place. That's point number one. I would also, as I mentioned earlier, we will convey you all the details that we have discussed in this thing through a communication which you should receive. Third one is very important is that I would encourage all the smart city, ecosystem people to share their thought in terms of what all we should cover in our tech clinic webinar. Because it's very important that we address the problems and the solutions rather than only working on a holistic program as we move forward. So please keep sharing your input on that. There's a email ID which is techclinic.mahua@gmail.com. You may post all your queries, questions, suggestions, feedback, and any observation that you have in any of the seminars. Please do that on this. They will be looked after by our backend team. We will respond it suitably to the cities if required individually, depending upon the sensitivity of that matter. With this, I would thank all the panelists to have taken their time out for attending this session and enlightening all of us through their thoughts and their experience. So thank you so much, all the panelists. I also take an opportunity to thank Dr. Garima Mittal, Faidabad Smart City CEO, to have come on panel at a very short notice. She more than agreed to come immediately on our request. So thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us that opportunity. We couldn't speak to you, but I'm sure there will be another opportunity for us to interact with you on two-way communication in one of our next seminars. With this, I would like to close this webinar and stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you.
There's
Thank
a
you,
poll.
everyone. Thank you.
If somebody wants to stay back, and Naveen, if you can put up the poll responses, we can keep doing that. We'll keep this screen live for next 5 minutes in case somebody wants to stay back and still put the questions on the board. We will take that also till 4:10. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Would like
Thank
to.
you, Rama.
Thank you, Rahul and Padam Vijay and Naveen. And thank you, Manish sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, sir.
But, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Garima. Thank you.
Naveen, keep this webinar active till 4:10, and then you may like to close the session.